Well, howdy folks, this is Mark with It's All About Racing. I want to welcome you back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at a Corvette, a black Corvette that you can see right there. Now, if you are familiar with Corvette racing and its factory teams over the years traditionally have been yellow, as you see in the poster I have behind these cars. Now, at the top of this is the first generation of Corvettes that they raced, the C5Rs, which were yellow. The sixth generation of cars, which were again predominantly yellow. They did have some different styling cues on, as you can see on this car, and I have a couple others with it as well. The C7 Corvette, which again was predominantly yellow, again with styling cues. The C8 Corvette, also yellow, also had this gunmetal or silver looking color. And then there was the sister car, the number 4 car, which was predominantly this gunmetal silver look, which they ran for a couple years. This other car that we're going to look at is the other exception to that, and this was a complete one-off for one race, that of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Now, this is a Spark resin 143 scale model, comes on the traditional wood base. In this case it's black, has acrylic jewel cover. Now, this being a much older model, as you can tell, it has the silver reflective background in the back. The sides of the box, 24 Hours of Le Mans 2001 GT1 class number 64. The flip side just has basic information about the car. It is literally a sticker that they slap on it. It's exactly what it is. The back has a look at the track. And the bottom, of course, always has the traditional licensing and legalese and barcode for the model. Now, Spark Corvettes are hard to find, particularly affordable. This one I got for less than $50 because it had this crack across the jewel cover. And that is relatively inexpensive for one of these cars. You wouldn't even notice it, particularly with the box that it's in. But anyhow, this is what the car looks like as it is. Spectacular as only Spark is. Now, Corvette racing came to Lasarth in 2009 with a single-minded goal. That was to win the class of GT1. And that's exactly what they accomplished. Unfortunately, it was not this car. Piloting the number 63 Velocity yellow Corvette C6R across the finish line was Johnny O'Connell, the only American to win at Le Mans 4 times. The number 60 Corvette, the one that we're going to look at and talk about today, seized the lead with 3 hours to run, but with transmission problems, we quit the race and result in a D and F. Now, one thing that I do like about Spark cars, other than the fact that they're generally pretty spectacular, is that if you take a look at the flip side of the base, it always has the names of the drivers listed. And this is useful if you can't read them off the top of the car, which is really not too hard with this one. But nevertheless, you have Oliver Gavin from the UK, an FIA Platinum driver and a 5-time 24-hour Le Mans class winner. You have Olivier Beretta, a Monegasque driver, FIA Platinum, 6-time class winner at the 24 Hours Le Mans, and a Formula One driver as well. And finally, Marcel Fassler, FIA Platinum Swiss driver, 3-time 24 Hours Le Mans class winner. So you had a really star-studded cast to pilot this particular car. Now, guys, this is a really, really nice-looking car. It is an older release from Spark. I mean, not the oldest that I have, but an older one, and done really, really well. Some of the things that they do exceptionally well, and initially when I recorded this video, I was not able to point this out, but you can see that the grille of the car is photo etched. It's clearly silver. It looks really good. You've got a very, very nice looking tow hook there right on the front. You also have little itty bitty fog lights right there. You can see right behind the tow hook. And believe it or not, as hard as and as small as the front splitter is, there is really nice carbon fiber detail. It's impossible to see with what I'm showing you, but it does look really, really good. The headlights are yellowed out, or I guess what you call not really yellowed out, but the covers on them are of that that yellow light color, which was traditionally for all the cars, so they could see them at night until it was coming up behind them. The lens cover is what I'm talking about. You also have these little tiny white decals on the window, which again is what you expect with a Spark car. Now, looking at the rest of the decal work and the painting, which is just really, really good, very, very sharp. I particularly love the long line of, I'm not sure the best way to describe it, but the over the wheel well, the openings that you have are extremely long, extending all the way from the headlight almost to the tip of the windshield on both sides. And this is perforated. You can feel it touching it. It feels really, really good. I don't like touching these cars much for your brake stuff. Really nice looking windshield wiper. You've got Sirius or XM, not Sirius XM at that time in the corners there. Another one of the neat little touches, and I don't know if anybody has noticed it yet, but if you haven't, I will point it out. It is this little tiny ring here. Now, there are actually two of these. There's a switch that cuts the power of the car off and also puts it in neutral so that marshals can use it in the case of an accident, as well as another one to activate this interior fire extinguisher, which they have for the cabin, as well as the engine compartment. And that ring is just extremely tiny. I mean, look how big the tow hook is, which is really a small part. And just look how tiny that little ring is. Just absolutely amazing. And this in a much older Corvette. Now, of course, also one of the things this Dark does really well is wheel detail. You take a look at that specifically. I mean, look how good the tires look. You see the Michelin tires. You can clearly see the brake rotor, the caliper, the wheel nut, the single one that they have. They're really good looking black spokes on the tire. And if you look under the number 64, you can see the silver exhaust outlet there. You see Corvette Michelin tires, blah, 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 all the rest of the stuff that you see on the bottom of the car. Also note, beside the American flag under CompuWare are the 3 dots that they have, which kind of made me, as you know, if this car was running first, second, or third, one or all of those dots would be lit. If it was running worse than that, none of them would be. Today, in the WEC, they now have a number panel, which is on the car, and it tells you exactly what the car's finishing order is at any time during the race, whether it's first, second, third, or 64th. It even has a counter clock on it for pit stop lengths, which is really, really neat. If you haven't seen it, it's really, really sharp. There are a number of good videos about it on YouTube, as well as the practices in Hyperpole, which is really, really neat. But anyhow, getting back to this car, this is what you had with the Corvette. Now, interior details on this are really, really good. You can clearly see the fire extinguisher over on the passenger side of the car. There's also some other things which I cannot identify in it, to be honest with you. I'm not sure what they are, but you can clearly see it from there. You've also got the silver outline of the dash, which was common with the C6R. I have a C7, which admittedly looks a lot better. You can also see the seat belts in there, as well as the seat. And the seat belts look really, really good. It's not real easy to see the steering wheel, which is kind of unusual. But again, this is an older car, so it's not like today's steering wheel. Take a look at the top of the car. You've got 2 very slender aerials, as you would expect. You have the names of the drivers there as well. The Corvette logo on the rear panel of the car. Of course, this is a front engine Corvette, so naturally you have the engine up front. And there you can see the radiator there, which I just showed you. Also got some air inlets again on what I would call the trunk of the car, and if you open it up, that is the trunk, or if it were my car. Rear wing has XM on it. Now note this car is predominantly gloss black, so you don't see a lot of carbon fiber trim on it. But again, nicely etched photo parts that you have on the rear grille. The tail lights look exceptional in red acrylic, look really, really good. You see the Corvette logo there. You've got a really big diffuser on this car, and I'll pull this thing back to pull this up and show it to you. You know, huge for the era back in 2009. I mean, that was a big-ass diffuser. And that's a really good look. I mean, look how nice that looks, the rear of that car. This is what you pay for with Spark, is you get good looks. You got that big, huge red tail hook there. And underneath the rear wing, well, there's really nothing. No message, no nothing. This is a factory Corvette. You know, they tend to be void of that kind of stuff. And then we turn around and we look at the passenger side. It looks much like the driver's side of the car. Again, very, very nice details. All looks really, really good. Massive big opening there around the B panel. And that is a wrap around of the car. So anyhow, this will wrap it up. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions, any comments, please leave them in the comment section. Thanks for watching. See you next time with an F1 car. Bye-bye.